And welcome to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, here live exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. We're back for another show. Well, you know what's funny, Alex? We were going to wrap this up next week.
Yeah. And,
I got a special request from a former guest on the show a long time ago, man. I don't know. Do you remember that show? Were you? I can't remember if you were.
Yeah. I was on the show.
Yeah.
This is back in the Block Talk days.
Oh, yeah. This is a long time ago. And I don't know if anybody remembers us having Leo Zagami on. At the time, he was living in Japan. From what I understand, he's back in Rome. And he's got a new book out detailing his experiences with the Illuminati and the Vatican.
Looking forward to that one.
Oh yeah, he's had some interesting experiences, and some of the information that he shared on the show. I mean, obviously it's up to your discretion, but I mean it's interesting.
Yes, it's interesting nonetheless. Again, like you said, whether you believe it or not is entirely up to you.
Exactly. So he'll be coming back on the show June 11th, and that will be our season finale for season 9, man. I don't know, man. This week has been crazy. It's been weird. And,
what do you mean?
Well, I mean, you look at people who have passed away this week. Chris Cornell.
Oh, I know.
That was crazy, man. I mean, who would ever have thought? And, of course, a lot of...
James Bond.
Yeah, Roger Moore.
Yep.
Roger Moore. You know what? He was not one of my favorite Bond.
I liked him.
He was okay, but he wasn't my favorite. I'm a Sean Connery guy.
Yeah, I like both of them. I liked Roger Moore's little sort of one-liners and quips.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He sort of brought a little bit more wit to the character than Sean Connery did, but I don't know. Connery was just, I don't know, that class act. It seemed like he was the first, but it's like everyone was trying to mold their different, I guess, take on that character, but always seemingly trying to keep that little bit of, I don't know, Sean Connery into it.
Yeah, the sexy time part.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so that's, and like I said, Chris Cornell, for those of you who don't know who Chris Cornell is, lead singer of Soundgarden and Audioslave. And there's obviously a little bit of controversy behind his death, obviously committing suicide. I mean, that was... I can understand it's tough, man, being a singer and having a family at the same time, and I know he was battling with drug addiction, and he was I believe he was clean though, but he had been dealing with a lot of depression.
Yeah. Also, some of the prescribed medication that he was on, some of the side effects were suicidal thoughts. So that could have had an impact. I mean, if he already suffered from depression, and then you add that on top of that, it can't be helping.
No, and I mean, that's the problem with a lot of these drugs that they prescribe. These, you kind of wonder, because I know they won't allow certain, kids. I think it's like, kids under, I don't want to say kids, but young adults under the age of, I believe it's 16, to take some of these drugs because of how powerful they are.
Yeah.
And it's really, really, really too bad. And it's a shame that, unfortunately, we lose somebody like Chris Cornell to something like this. But it goes to show you anybody is... there's nobody who can escape this kind of stuff. So it's scary, but hey. Another thing. An article passed this week out of upper state New York. Some strange lights over Lake Ontario. Similar to what I experienced I guess it was 2007 when I had, and you had an experience too.
I did. Yes.
Now when you read the article, right?
Yeah.
Now, their explanation was there was an explanation that came forward. Flares. Now,
well, the one I read was that the Canadian military was conducting some kind of training exercise, but I'm like, okay, I didn't see any video of what the lights looked like. I just saw the still image of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the lights behave, but what kind of training exercises are they going to do if the lights behave the same way as the ones that I saw or that you saw? There's no aircraft, to my knowledge, that behaves the way that those lights behaved.
And I mean, parachute flares or flares of the caliber that they're talking about, like military, you would actually see the smoke trail as they drop, or you'd see a vapor trail. Even in the dark, because of how lit these things are, certainly completely different from what I experienced. I can almost tell you that they weren't flares that I experienced.
Yeah,
and I know from what you were saying with your little experience there, it's pretty much the same.
Well, the ones I saw were definitely not flares. They weren't coming down at all. They were staying up high above, and they changed direction in flight, and there's no way that those are flares.
Yeah. So and the other odd thing I found about this, there was really no reports out of Canada on this, or at least local. This is all stuff from Western New York.
That's right.
There's nobody covering that I know of any of this activity over on this side of Lake Ontario.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
No, so that just seemed kind of weird. But then again, even if you do contact the right people, are they going to admit? That's the thing.
They're probably not going to admit.
There's never going to be that disclosure. So yeah, like I said, we have, this was our second last show, but this is going to be our third last show. We've got tonight and two other shows. June 11th will be our last show for this season. So, you know what? You don't want to miss out, because, I mean, we've got some pretty cool stuff lined up. Beginning with tonight, obviously. And we've talked about the realm of demons and exorcisms and all that kind of stuff many times on the show. Now, where do you stand? I mean, in your thoughts on what demons are. After hearing everything, and we've had so many people on that have dealt with this subject. So,
right, and I don't completely disclose the possibility of possession, obviously, because it's hard. It would be foolish of me to say that possession is impossible.
Yeah.
Whether they're demons in the biblical sense, that's what I'm sort of up in the air about.
Okay.
I know that there's dark, there's light and dark, evil, good, and all that kind of stuff, and we as humans are easily influenced by either.
Yeah.
So that's, like I said, that's the only sticking point. I just haven't come to a conclusion as to whether they're actual demonic entities from the biblical sense, Satan's minions and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just the way because I'm also not very religious either, right? So,
yeah. And
that's part of the reason why I lean that way, but I don't disclose the possibility that could happen.
And I mean, that's like, obviously one of the more popular sort of readings into all this, Satan and his minions, or all sorts of things that, lead down that road. And a lot of people will believe that's what it is.
Well, yeah, because a lot of the population around the world is religious to some extent.
Yes.
Of one denomination or another.
Yeah.
So they all obviously have their own teachings and speak of their own sort of dark entities and whatnot. So when you have the majority of the population that's religious of one denomination or another, you're going to have a lot of people that believe that.
Yeah. So, we've had, like I said, we've had many people on that, from all areas, all different sort of backgrounds that deal with these, whatever they are. It's intriguing to hear the different perspectives out there. I mean, there are many, but there are so many common themes or threads, if you will, as to trying to explain this. And obviously from the religious standpoint, and then you have the scientific standpoint, and then you have, people who, obviously atheists. Oh, there's no such thing as demons. Come on, And a majority of that is obviously people who have never really experienced or encountered this sort of realm, right?
Mm-hmm, of course.
Would be the most gathered into that group, so to speak. Yeah. So, anyways, we're going to talk a little bit more about it tonight. Somebody that I've had the pleasure of meeting a while ago, doing just a little bit of work with, not so much in the realm of demonology or possession or anything like that, but you never know. That could be coming up in the future. You never know. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, we have Bishop Plato Angelakis on. Angelakis. I told you I'd botch it up. Sorry, Plato. Okay, so anyways, we're going to go to break. And don't go anywhere, because we're going to have Bishop Plato on. Plato on. Right after
I'm
this.
not to grade you on this.
I know, I'm bad.
I'm going to give you a failing grade.
I know, and you know what? If you want to follow us on Twitter, at Dark Discussions, Facebook, www.facebook.com/Nocturnal Frequency Radio, and of course our BBM group. And I mean, how's that group doing?
It grew about 20 subscribers.
Yeah?
Yeah. We're up to 1278, I believe.
Have you posted I don't know, is there a way you can link it in our group, the Facebook group?
I can post the PIN number, yes.
Okay.
So anybody who has BBM on their phone, they can join that way. I'll do that later on.
Yeah. Okay, so throw that out there for the listeners who are part of the group. And once again, if you're not, just go to www.facebook.com/Nocturnal Frequency Radio, or just simply type in Nocturnal Frequency Radio in the search box and you'll find us. Okay, so we're not going to go, we're going to go for a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Bishop Plato.
Beyond, the television series that redefines the paranormal. Academic, scientific, and medical opinions that, combined with expert testimony, provide new insight into 48 phenomena that challenge the frontiers of human understanding. The Beyond series was originally broadcast on television in Canada and the USA. Now the series is available throughout the world on Hulu, Amazon, and TV Tibi. In Canada, it can be seen through Amazon On Demand. Come with us and take a step into the unknown lands that lie beyond. More information at beyondtheseries.com.
When you've had it up to here,
his hand is way above his head
with the commercials and the same 5 songs again
and again and again and again and again and again and again.
There's only one place to lock it down. New Visions Radio. No commercials, the best talk, and the best new music all over the world. NewVisionsRadio.com.
This is Keith Age, and you're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Enjoy.
Before going to Port Robinson Road, I would have been one of those guys that you told me that you were going on a ghost hunt. I wouldn't necessarily laugh at you, but I would think to myself, yeah, that's a waste of time. There's really no point in going.
Port Robinson Road is not a horror film, and it shouldn't be confused with the mainstream Hollywood horror films of today. It's a mystery, thriller, drama, and I don't think it's anything that's ever been done before, at least not in this way. And I think it's vital to the paranormal world that a film like this takes itself seriously. I don't think there are too many films of this nature that take themselves too seriously, and this one does. At least I'm taking it very seriously, and that is why I think it's about time that something like this was brought to the forefront. Visit PortRobinsonRoad.com for more information on the feature paranormal film in development.
But going to Port Robinson Road really just took my eyes and peeled them right open and said, you know what? There's the possibility for this to be out there.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens due to the crisis that is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments. At this hour, we repeat, these are the facts as we know them. There is an epidemic of mass murder being committed by a virtual army of unidentified assassins. The murders are taking place in villages and cities and rural homes and suburbs with no apparent pattern nor reason for the slayings. It seems to be a sudden general explosion of mass homicide.
And welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, live here exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. And Alex, has there been a point in your life that perhaps you felt that you might have been under the influence of something that you would particularly point out as being evil or malevolent?
Just you.
So
no,
we'll say no. You're not guilty of being possessed or under a sort of evil influence. You didn't create an act when you were a kid that you sit there and go, I don't know what overcame me.
No, I can't say that I have.
So you've been a good altar boy for the majority of your growing up.
Well, I was never an altar boy, but yeah, I was a good boy.
You were a good boy. Now, would you say your parents would classify? They would have classified you as a good boy in their books?
At least that's what they told me, anyway.
They just wanted to make you feel good, right?
Probably.
Anyhow, well, we're not going to waste any time here. We're going to bring in Bishop Plato. How are you, Bishop?
Doing pretty good. Yourselves?
Good.
Not too bad.
Now, for our listeners and those who don't know who you are, it just, I guess, give the listeners, a short introduction to who you are and what you do.
Well, in the world, I'm a registered nurse. I'm a critical care nurse working in the ER, ICU. Sort of, that's what I do for my income. But at some point, I wanted to become ordained. And around 2001, there was a bishop in Wisconsin that took me under his wing, trained me, and ordained me a priest. And around 2007, I was offered an opportunity, an invite down in Pennsylvania to become an archbishop with the Mexican National Catholic Church. So I'm an independent bishop representing the independent Catholic Church. There's about 7 Catholic churches that are independent from Rome. What that basically means is I recognize by Rome as being valid, but I don't have to actually answer to the Pope. I don't have to be under his sort of authority. So that gives me a little bit more reign to be able to sort of do what I like to do on my own. So I'm an independent archbishop and just going around doing the things that I need to do as an independent to help sort of people minister whatever their needs may be outside of a natural building, a natural church. So my ministry would be dealing with people worldwide as an independent, not necessarily within a diocese of any sort. So that's where I've sort of taken that as became more of a hobby, more of something that I wanted to do. It was something very personal to me that I wanted to be, but it's sort of escalated to more of a part-time necessity, I guess, would be.
Now, you want to help people and sort of aid people, and what I guess like getting into the whole, I guess, structure of good and evil, if you will, and how that sort of played into this and sort of what you're doing now.
Well, just so people understand, in the ordination process, when a priest becomes a priest, becomes an acolyte and a deacon, subdeacon, deacon. But in that process, you are also an exorcist. You become there's actually a part of that ordination ceremony. So every priest is an exorcist by ordination, but a true exorcist is someone who has a calling for that. It's more like God has chosen you to sort of be that person. Some people will minister to, may be more of a preacher. Others may do more healing. Others may do more sacramental things, and others, obviously have a calling to be an exorcist or a spiritual deliverance or that sort of thing. So for me, I started out just doing marriages, baptisms, reconciliation, maybe saying the mass, those sorts of things that normal priests would do. I got a call one day, I don't remember the exact day, it was a few years ago, by the Ottawa Paranormal Research Investigation sort of team, but there's one of the many thousands of paranormal teams that they're out there. They were out doing one of their nightly sort of investigations, as they do, with their flashlights and their audio and their spectrum lights and whatnot. And they came across the woman that was living at the home. Started presenting, as you would see in the movie The Exorcist and those sorts of movies, things you see in Hollywood. Started presenting with some of the basic characteristics that you would see someone who was possessed. The speaking of the different languages, the extreme strength of the individual, and they basically got themselves a little over their heads because when they walked into the home looking to, they were invited to come. They figured they had some ghosts, they had some issues, and that it became a necessity for to bring someone else in. So they brought in another priest in the Ottawa area. He was unable to do anything. They called upon me. I guess they found me online. I'm not sure how they actually found me, and asked me to come out. So I came out on that one. We were there for 2 days. Did a 2-day event there at the home, and it was quite an extraordinary experience trying to liberate this woman who was in her 60s, hadn't eaten in a month. Again, like in the movie, we have to do our due diligence. We have to investigate mental health issues, any history, of course, any physical history as well. So, I mean, this person, for the lack of this time on the show, she was a young girl, grew up with her parents were demonic ritualists. They were the ones that went out in robes out in the middle of the field doing their little thing. And she grew up with that. And so now she's in her 60s, and her daughter called us up and said, my mother needs some help. So we helped her. It took a lot of work. She was pretty strong, threw us across the room a couple of times, and I'm going to be honest, some of the things that were coming out of her mouth, some of the strength, some of the behaviors were there, very characteristics. We managed to get her out of the home, and the demonic entity that was in the home that was sort of controlling her, it was sort of not a full possession, but it was more of a manipulation. Once we were able to get her out of the home, she improved. We got her to the hospital. She improved, and we went back to the home to deal with the entity, which we did. And so that was the start of it all. Then I joined the team. I joined the Ottawa team that was there, and I've been with them ever since. I I liked the team that I was dealing with. They're very scientific, more research type based, sort of very professional. That was very important to me, and so I kind of joined with them together, and they continue doing their paranormal activities, and they will call upon me when they come across something that needs to be dealt with. So that's where it started, and of course they're very well linked with other teams throughout the world. So they would refer me as a consult, to call people when they came across certain situations that need sort of some guidance. Then it furthermore went on to being invited to speak at some paranormal conventions, seminars, and just starting to meet the people that are actually on television, from TAPS right through to Dead Files, and just those sort of individuals. Started to meet them and just started to talk about some of their experiences. So it just ended up in one call, asking for help because they were over their head, to now sort of realizing that there seems to be a need for that kind of sort of counseling. That sort of, I didn't realize how many paranormal teams have formed throughout the world. I mean, they watch their television shows, they watch TAPS, they watch, Dead Files, they watch those kinds of things, and Zach and all that, and they say, well, they get themselves a name, they get themselves a little website, they get themselves a Facebook site, and then all of a sudden, boom, in an instant, you've got a paranormal team. Yeah. And there's thousands throughout the world, England, Australia, South America, you name it, United States, Canada. And so, these teams, they go, and a lot of them, I'm going to be honest, are ill prepared. They go and get their little starter kit, $50 online. You get a flashlight, they get a little spectrum, analysis, little gadgets and whatnot, and then the 4 or 5 of them get together and off they head to people's homes, and not really realizing that you're in people's homes, and some of these things they're real. They're dealing with things that I don't think they're prepared for. I think they may be all fun. Maybe we can get a ghost. Maybe we can capture something, and maybe we can catch a sound. And I think what people don't realize is I think there's been such an escalation, in people seeing things and people hearing things, and I think it's because people have actually dabbled, like, for lack of better words, not dabbled, but because they wanted to go into these people's homes and actually start opening doors and opening portals and start asking questions and start saying, hey, who's here? And, I think we've opened up Pandora's box. I think we've, we've allowed this sort of thing to sort of escalate. And now I'm getting calls, weekly, daily. I get calls, emails from people saying, we've encountered something, we're not sure, and this and that, and I'm thinking, my God, where is all this coming from? I mean, so if you think about these people, if they had not gone into these people's homes and they hadn't gone looking with flashlights and looking for the stuff, maybe we wouldn't have such an escalation.
Well, and that's my concern with the quote unquote the paranormal field. I mean, I've been researching and investigating for, I guess close to 25 years now, and one of the major concerns that I find is the problem with these TV shows, and the people grow up watching these TV shows and not being able to decipher the difference between what is entertainment, and what is real. And preaching upon the entertainment value of the TV show, and not really. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of people, and a lot of them are just, they're not prepared at all, as you say.
No, they're not. I mean, being a priest, I will use scripture, because I use what has been written, and there is something in scripture that actually talks about being prepared. That it talks about it. I'm going to just really it's in the book of Ephesians, and it's chapter 6, and I'm just going to read one little paragraph, but it really just talks about And it says here in chapter 12, for our struggle is not against flesh or blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. And I mean, not one little paragraph, it says it all. I mean, you know, you're dealing with something that's not of this world, and we don't know what's on the other side, you know. But I mean, to be blunt, you're going to knock on Satan's door, he's going to answer. Or you're going to knock on someone's door, they're going to answer.
Yeah.
Whatever is benevolent or not. It's, you know, it could be an angel or it could be a demon. I mean, a demon is really just a fallen angel. It's just an angel decided to sort of go to the dark side, if you know, for lack of a better thing. But you know, but I mean, we're talking about a theological thing that will span chapters but you know, just so people are kind of so it's clear, you know, and God has free will. I mean, for even those who don't want to believe, I mean, the atheists don't have a problem. The atheists don't have an issue because they don't believe, and that's fine. But they don't go dabbling. They don't go looking for it, because if they don't believe, you're not going to look for it.
Yeah.
So from their perspective, that's not an issue, because you're not looking for trouble. You know, you're not going to find it. For the rest of us who are trying to investigate, you know, well, let's go see about ghosts and whatnot. Well, ghosts are basically people who have died and moved on, who are now in the spiritual world. And then Scripture is quite clear. He says, this is a battle that's not dealt with in the physical world. So a lot of people think, well, we can deal with this physically. It's not. This is a spiritual. It's a spiritual thing. You know, people need to separate the one from the other. You know, God gave us free will. This is the universal law. You know, and this sums it all up. Universal law, God's free will. I will not interfere in your life unless you ask. I won't send angels. I won't send help. You don't want to pray to me. You don't want to worship me. You don't want to believe in me. Not a problem. You know, that's God. But the same rules apply to the demonic. Even though they're fallen angels, God still runs the show. They cannot interfere, the demonic, that is, evil or anything of that sort, anything benevolent cannot interfere in anybody's life unless you ask them to. And I think if you just turn on the television set, watch for 5 minutes, you know what? We're asking for it. We've asked for wars and pornography and all the other things that go on out there. We have opened Pandora's box. We've allowed. That is consent. That is even not even written consent. We just arbitrarily allowed this stuff to come into our lives. So depending on how people live their lives, you're allowing so much of this to be affecting you. Now, it will affect some more than others. A lot of people that I've dealt with spiritually, like to help them. They may not be fully up-possessed, but they are being manipulated, or they're being infiltrated, or they're being harassed, or whatever you want to call it. A lot of them have histories. You know, they've been, you know, they're involved in, you know, crime, or they were involved in some kind of, you know, maybe they were a stripper when they were younger, they were involved in this, they were involved in that, you know, but they want to change their lives. So this is what when I come in, and we sort of start from scratch. Also understanding that, you know, and this is also in Scripture, that God will bless you 3 generations forward. The devil will actually curse you 9 generations. So something your great-great-grandfather might have got involved in will actually affect your life. And this is where a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of this intergenerational ties that need to be broken. Like people say, why is always this family's always cursed and always curses? Because it moves forward. A lot of people have done things in the past. For example, I'll give a real simple example. You know, the groom wants to go to the, you know, fiance's father and ask him, can I please have your daughter's hand in marriage? We think that's a very polite and noble thing, right? There is actually, you know, historical, you know, significance to that. You need the blessing of the parents, because it says in the Bible that, you know, a man leaves his house to join the woman's family, and it's quite clear, and they become one. And you need the blessing of the parents. A lot of parents say, "No, I curse you. I don't want you marrying him. I don't think it's good for you. I don't think." So I don't curse. I'm cursing this marriage. I'm cursing. They don't realize when they're doing that you're actually opening up a door to allowing the evil to come in, and really they got an agenda. They want to ruin your life. They want to ruin your finances, your marriage, your relationships, your job, your health, everything. And this is where people are. This is the majority of what I am finding when I go out there. Their lives are in ruins. then I find out that they've been doing this and they've been doing that and they've been gambling. I don't want to get into details because people's privacies, I can't get into names and stuff. But, they get involved, and once I get them straight away, then all of a sudden things start to improve. We took prayer out of the school. Now kids are starting to kill kids in school. We took prayer out of this, and so there is some significance. And I mean, like I said, in Ephesians, it talks about people who want to, that one chapter I read about, this is a struggle. It says, then it goes on, it says, stand firm, therefore, having girded your loins with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and it goes on, and it tells you, really, it gives you the formula that, if you're going to go into battle, basically what every paranormal team is doing, you're going into a home, and you want to try to entice whatever is there. And you see these shows, touch me, hit me, do something, push me. You're giving consent. You're opening a door, and and you just don't know which door you're going to open. And this is the problem. And I'm finding people are calling me up and saying, well, there's a lot of people on their team, the paranormal teams, that have quit. They've called me. They've told me that they're ill. They've got problems at home. They take some of the stuff home with them. This is the sort of things that I'm hearing. So, I'm finding that I'm on an uphill battle because these people are ill prepared. So that's where I'm sort of, my focus is now is trying to, consult. Maybe I'm going to write some information they can give out. Give these paranormal teams. Look, I have no problem. I am totally 100% for research. I have no issue with people going out and exploring the paranormal, UFOs, all these sorts of things that go out there. Definitely, I'm all in for that. I love research. I think it's great, but I think people should be a little bit more prepared. I think it's more than just pick up a flashlight and you go into somebody's home and and then start to entice what might be there, because chances are 1 in 5 of those homes has got something benevolent there that's just that it's going to cause you some problems. And then the problem, then they do so much damage. Then they leave saying, oh, you know what, thank you very much for your time. They gather up their gear,
and that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem. Yeah,
they leave the family worse off than they may find them. Yeah. And I've had to go back in the homes after and deal with counseling people and getting their house straight away. And it's people, when they call a paranormal team, they're calling because they're in trouble. They're not calling because they're inviting you into your home because something's not going right. And they're seeing things, or they're being tormented, or whatnot. So, they're in distress. Some of them are financially destitute. Some of them are in trouble with drugs and whatnot. You're dealing with a high complexity of social issues. People might be going through a divorce. Some people are losing their jobs, or in a financial situation. They've got children they're dealing with drugs, mental health issues. And you got all these people that just, well,
you don't know who you're inviting into your home. It could be vampires.
It could be anything.
Yeah, but let me ask you. I've got a question in chat here, but I want to ask you something before we get to that question. And like I said, I've done hundreds of cases, and there have been quite a few of them that have dealt with supposed demonic activity. People who believe that they're dealing with something demonic, or there's some sort of possession or whatnot. But I to date, and I'm going to ask you, to date, 100% of that has been easily explained away as something natural. Now, could that, because I have never, I can't say that I've ever come across something that is authentically demonic in that sense. Is it, do you think, because when I go into an investigation, or if I go into the research or whatever, it's not that I'm looking for quote unquote ghost. I'm looking to explain the natural before I can even tell anybody something is paranormal. So
it's hard. It's a hard thing. I mean, it's not something you can go in one night and just explain. I go in with empaths. I go in with sensitives. I don't just go in by myself. I use real professional sensitives, people who can sense, people who have empathy, who can have empath abilities, because these entities they don't show themselves just to anybody. They like to hide. They're not going to reveal that they exist. Mm-hmm. They want people to think that they don't exist. They do exist. I have seen more than my fair share. Okay. I've been thrown across the room. I've seen eyes go black. I've seen that. I actually have it on video. I'll be honest with you, I actually have it in my archives, which I don't show anybody because I'm going to be honest with you, it's quite traumatic to see.
Okay.
But I have seen this stuff. This stuff is real. But I mean, I don't see it. I'll see a half dozen in my lifetime. I have, really severe. Most of the time it's just people's lives are just they're not going very well. Mm-hmm. And people are just asking for help.
Yep.
I cannot help anybody unless they ask for help. I can't just go to people's homes. I'm going to see, I say, this is what I've seen. I'll have sensitives who will come into the home and say, you know what, it's left, it's gone upstairs. Mm-hmm. Because I don't sense them. They do. We'll go through the home and sort of hunt them down. I have captured on a spectrum, multi-spectrum light, I guess, where I've actually bonded a demonic entity, and you can actually see the chains. I actually have it on video where you can see it. You can't physically see it with your eyes, but you can see it. But I've actually chained it, and you can see that it's actually moving its arms, and it's doing its contortionist kind of movements. And then when I cast it out, then you can see it's gone, and it's just amazing that you can actually see that. So there are some things that I've captured. Do I have all the answers? No, I haven't got all the answers. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, if I go to someone's home with a flashlight and I'm walking around with those other paranormal people, and we're sort of looking around and sort of investigating, if the family at the end of it all feels better about it, if me being there and doing a blessing in the home, they feel better about it, you know what? I've accomplished something. That's really all that it comes down to. It is if in their mind they feel okay with what's going on. But I mean, I've had little girls, 5-year-old little girls, speak something out of their mouths that you would never hear a 5-year-old talk, wanting to murder their mother. And you never ever see that. And, then you start to investigate and you figure, there's been a murder in the back, in one of the fields, and this is out in Quebec. When I was out in Quebec, there was a murder, and there was a unsolved murder mystery and whatnot. And we figured, there's been, the little girl's talking about seeing this woman in her room. So, we get the little girl out of the house, and then I would spend the night in that room, and then, I'm dealing with whatever's there. All I know is the little girls come back, none of this is returned. So, I can only, I go by what results I get. I can't always explain what I've seen. I can't even debunk some things. All I know is at the end of it, if I leave the family better than where I got them, then this is where it's all about. It's getting them to sort of turn their lives around and maybe start looking at some of these things, because you're dealing with, like I said, you're dealing with the spiritual world, and they're not all just going to just give you all the answers. They're not going to open themselves up. They've been around for billions and billions and billions of years, and they're not going to come around and just going to tell you all the secrets of the universe. They're just not going to do that. It's just not going to happen. I mean, I talked to Grant Wilson from TAPS, for example, and I'll share this because I talked to him. I was in Michigan at one of the paranormal, and I asked, and we talked about it. And he said in one of his little talks, he says, we're all looking for the Holy Grail. We are all looking for the Holy Grail. We're looking for that one piece of evidence, that one picture, that one sound that we've captured that, 100% proves demonic or ghosts or whatever, an afterlife or whatever. And we don't have it. We don't have 100% proof. We get little bits and pieces, and maybe some conjecture, and maybe we could debunk that. All this. He says we've been looking for the Holy Grail, and no one's found it. Why? Because I don't believe they want us to find it. Yeah. I don't believe it's not meant to happen. But they're there, and from my experience, they exist. I mean, I have a belief system. I believe in good, but there also has to be a bad, and there is. And But I mean, I go with Scripture, and it's written in there. It gives you a formula in the book of Ephesians of how one's character should be, one's personality should be before you start attempting to even try to go into a spiritual battle, or go into someone's home with the preparation that you may encounter something you now need to deal with. You need to be prepared, and it even talks about right down to the person's character. I've had people come with me on an exorcism. I'll go in with 5 people. I go out by myself. The other 4 have run out because this person, starts talking about, what are you doing here, Joe, whatever. Does your wife know you're cheating on her? And it knows your secrets. And so, these people, when they want to come along, they want to get involved, but they haven't got their own lives in order. They haven't got their own morality in order. So, you want to start going there and knocking on Satan's door. You better have your own life in order, because it knows everything that goes on in your life. These are entities that exist in the spiritual realm that are like in infinity. They've got a past, present, future. They all simultaneously. It's a different realm. It's a different dimension. And people don't understand that. It's same with UFOs. I'm all a believer of UFOs, but why don't we don't see that? We see the odd light, we see the odd ship, we capture the odd picture. But really, all these years, with all these sightings and all these possible abductions and all these things that go on, we have no actual proof. Perhaps there is, but they don't want to tell us, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the governments have some information, but we don't have that actual proof. They don't want us to know. You're dealing with something that's in a different dimension, a different realm that's not ours, and we don't have access to that. It's very hard to capture that kind of, unless you're really lucky and you get that experience, and a lot of us don't.
We you know what? We're going to wait until after the break to ask Redmond's question, because we're going to be going to break here in a few minutes. But let me quickly tell you a story. I got an email from an elderly couple, and I've told this story a few times on the show. I got an email from an elderly couple who needed a little bit of help, and they had told me their story about inviting. They had some activity, some really weird stuff going on in the home, and they invited a husband and wife, or to that effect, who had a team that went in there to, I guess, explain to them, or try to explain to them what their problem or what was going on in their home. And what they ended up telling the elderly couple was that you have some demonic activity going on. Your house needs to be cleansed. So of course the elderly couple, they had no idea. They didn't understand. They just knew that something awfully weird was happening, and it was scaring them. And they figured that, this couple was going to, take care of it, help them out. And they it was authentic to them. So, of course, they tell the couple, the elderly couple, that, your house has to be cleansed. And, the elderly couple's, okay, great. Whatever it takes, we just want this taken care of, dealt with. And, of course, with an $8,000 tag attached to that. Of course, they said, you know what? We don't care. We don't care what it costs. Just take care of it, because they were afraid. They were confused, naive. They just wanted it taken care of. So yeah. So anyhow, they went about, did their cleansing of the house, clearing, however you want to look at it. Mm-hmm. And of course, nothing changed. But one thing did. They disappeared with their $8,000. The elderly couple finally contacted the authorities and actually had them arrested, and I guess through court they were able to get their money back. Mm-hmm. And this is when we went in after. We went in after to help them out, and but that's the kind of stuff that you're getting out there. And again, this is it's not just people who go into this that are unprepared, but there are people, and I mean literally hundreds upon thousands of people who will exploit.
Oh, I've experienced a lot of that actually.
Yes.
People, I never charge. I don't believe in the money exchange of money. It does not, like, people offer, and I say no, because as soon as you offer me money, then what I'm going to do is not going to work, because that's the one thing. Why it works for me is because I don't charge.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just because it's not about money. The money is, like I said, a lot of these people are already in trouble financially, socially, morally. They've got problems. They are already in trouble. They don't need someone coming in asking for $500 or $1,000. I've seen big amounts being paid out. I'm going, my God. And I've had to go after them myself to get the money back for them. And again, like you said, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because you're there for the money. You're not there to actually physically help people. I never charge. I make money, good money as a nurse. I make good money. I don't charge. I drive my own car, my own gas, my own hotel, and my own time. And but it's effective. Because I don't believe the exchange of money is going to do it. It's not about that. If these paranormal teams are going in, they should be going in because they love the research. They love, and I know there's quite a few people who are novice, and that's fine. I mean, we all have to start somewhere. But, I want them to know that, understand your limits. If you come across something you don't understand, something that is beyond your scope, okay, get help. Talk to someone, get someone who knows, maybe who's been out there a little bit longer, get some people involved to help the family, because it's not about the paranormal team, it's not about us, it's about the family. They're the ones who are calling for help. They're the ones who are inviting us in their home. We're not just arbitrarily going in. I mean, I've had businesses call me up and saying, I got staff, I can't say where because it's supposed to be confidential, but I've had an actual city call me and say, our city staff won't come into the building because of paranormal activity. The staff will go to work. There's an actual employer who has a problem because the staff don't want to come to work, work the nights and whatnot. So we've gone in and done a whole full night investigation, cleansing the whole kiddo. Never had a problem since. Staff are going to work. For them, it's a problem solving. It's and we don't charge any money. It's because we want to help. It's people have a job, and people, I mean, there's just someone who doesn't want to go to work. They're scared. They're seeing ghosts, or see something. They're being tormented, or something's going on at work in the middle of the night, and scaring the hell out of people. And this is their livelihood. They got to bring home their bread and butter. And people don't realize the complexity, the seriousness of what you're dealing with. And then on top of that, you're in there even if you're just looking for a ghost. I know that's basically someone who's died and moved on. A spirit, a soul. Well, that's a person. That's a person who once lived. Could be in the 1800s or 500 years ago or whatnot. But that person has died and moved on, but maybe hasn't been able to actually move on to where they should have gone, and maybe they're stuck, maybe due to a traumatic event or whatnot, or an accident. And I've helped ghosts move on. I've helped spirits move on. People don't understand that's a person. That's someone's loved one, and this is a serious thing. It's not a game, and that's toil with a ghost, and it's not a plaything, where you're in there and touch me and hit me and give me move my light, turn my flashlight on and off. It's not a game. These are people who have moved on. These are actual souls. Yep. And people just don't. I just find that very insulting, very disgraceful to see. If you want to go and research, you want to explore, by all means go, but know your limits and know when to get out, when to get help, and when you're over your head. That's basically the essence of this whole kind of conversation. I mean, it's not about theology. It's not about whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, or you believe in the devil, doesn't believe in the devil. It's really irrelevant. This is like real people, real homes, family, children, livelihoods. Who who have problems, like an elderly couple having problems that want to deal with. And, and if you can't deal with it, then just say, hey, I can't deal with this. It's beyond me. I will try to find someone, or I'm sorry, I don't have anybody, but I can't help you, but I've tried.
Yeah.
But a lot of these, like I said, the television shows, they go in, they go out. Oh yeah, let's do our recap. Okay, yeah, well look, we found this, we found that. Okay, thanks a lot. See you later. Goodbye. And they get back on their trucks and off they go to the next episode. And I said, well, I look at the show and I'm going, did anybody help this guy?
Yeah.
Did anybody help them out?
Okay. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get more in depth on. I guess the structure of liberation and all that kind of stuff. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here exclusively here on the New Visions Radio Network. We'll be right back with Bishop Plato. So don't go anywhere.
They say high school is supposed to be the best 4 years of your life.
So let me ask you, what makes for good radio?
My 5 favorite songs, all day long.
Play it again.
No.
As many commercials as physically possible.
What? No, why would that be good?
Great music, great talk shows, no commercials!
Precisely. New Visions Radio gives you no commercials, no nonsense, just the best new music and the best talk all day long, 24/7, 365. NewVisionsRadio.com.
You are listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, hosted by Steve Jenny and his satanic assistant, Alex Montini, both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
And welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here live exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. Well, if you are just tuning in, the first hour, we have been pretty much discussing the demonic realm with Bishop Plato.
Should we ask the question from Redmond first?
Yes, I was going to say, Redmond, I know you want your question asked. Okay, so Redmond asks, what's your opinion on seances as an investigation tool and the use of psychic mediums? What are your thoughts on all that?
From religious sort of like the Catholics, or because I have to speak as a bishop, they're forbidden. I mean, they're forbidden because it talks about staying away from charlatans and that sort of seances. It's in Scripture. It talks about it in Matthew. Jesus says, that don't go to these people looking for the future and looking to have your cards read and tea leaves, seances. As a research tool, I don't know. I mean, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. You're looking for that stuff, and so how far does the research outweigh the consequences, right? So I mean, as a bishop, I have to say no. I mean, it's forbidden. I mean, it's quite clear. It says in Scripture not to do it. If it's basically something that Jesus says not to do. So, from my perspective, I have to say no. But I mean, a lot of people are doing it, and not necessarily doing it because they want to bring the devil out and entice the devil. They're doing it for more of a research, looking for the afterlife. I mean, a lot of people in the past have done that, and people are doing it today. Again, I won't judge people. They do whatever they want to do. But again, I if you're, where does the research, start and end, and when is the consequences? When is it the balance and act? Again, to what expertise are you doing these seances for? To what end? Like, are you doing more of a scientific, more of a technological sort of scientific, or are you just sort of getting together, holding hands, and just trying to entice some spirit to come and talk to you? Again, you're given something in the spirit world consent to come in, and you don't know what you're opening up to. You don't know who you're inviting. And again, it's a realm that's much larger than our physical realm, much, infinite. So again, I just have to say no. I would say it's something I would not even encourage people to do. I don't think the research or what you're going to get from seances is not worth the consequences or the potential danger. That's basically that's all I have to say about that. I wouldn't do it. I don't suggest you do it. People who have done it, I've had to go in and clean up messes because of people who got into that, and people's lives have actually. I have never seen anything positive, let's say, come from that. I don't think historically, a lot of people in the past have done a lot of seances and a lot of those types of explorations. I have never seen anything positive come from that. I mean, if something positive had come from that, I would maybe have a different opinion. But historically, I have seen absolutely nothing positive come. Only negative has come from that. So why would you want to even go down that road? I've seen no benefit from it at this point, at least historically.
Okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty with the, what I guess walk us through. When it comes down to actually having to look at this person is possessed. And what would walk us through it? What the steps that you need to take?
Okay, well, I walk into a situation and it's either going to be a person or a home or a structure or a building, or an object. That's been infiltrated. So I look at what it is that I'm doing first. So if it's a person or a home, it's pretty much the same thing, but I'm doing it either to the home or I'm doing it to the person. So I look at the severity. Okay, so what is going on? Again, from the full-fledged possession, which is basically someone being completely controlled by a demonic, which means the only way that can happen is if you actually physically said, "Take me over." I'm yours, kind of thing, to the more minor, I'm just being harassed. My life is just not going well. I'm being harassed. I'm being tormented. Things are not going very well. So that's the two extremes. So that's what I'm looking at. And there's so many variations in that. So every situation is individualized. So I would go into a home and I would look, okay, what is going on? Well, obviously it's the person, or maybe it's the home and the person. Maybe it's a combination of the entire family or the area. So again, I have to investigate. There's got to be a reason why this happened. So, and people say, "Oh, no, it just happened." No, there's got to be a reason. Something's happened at home. Someone died in that home. Someone's been murdered in that home, or you've done something. You've opened up this door. You've opened up this consent. It's all about consent. I'm going to tell you right now. It comes down to consent. If you don't want it, you just tell it to go. It's gone. If people want this stuff, people are looking for this stuff. People are looking on TV, you're wanting it, you're looking at it, you're on the website. So you've given this consent. What have you done? So I look at what it is that you've done, and I have to kind of undo what you've done. So I'm walking into the home, and basically I create what I do is I walk in and I put salt outside the entire building of the home, of either the home or the person or both. Outside. So I basically encompass a barrier. I've seen shows where people have, I cast this demon out, and out the door you go, down the street. Well, that's not what I do, because That's not what I want. I don't want the demon going down the street. It's just going to find someone more vulnerable down the road. I'm going to enclose whatever is in this home, bad or good. It's staying in the home. I will deal with it in the home, and I will excise it from the home, from within the home. It will not leave the home. It's gone from the home. It won't have an opportunity to actually leave. So what I put salt around the entire outside of the home. I have people that work with me go around and they place holy oil over all the windows, sprinkled salt and water through the entire house. Basically what I'm doing is making the entire home very uncomfortable for whatever might be there. Okay? If there's nothing, all the better. But it makes me stronger. It protects me. It protects the people around me because I make everything very uncomfortable by doing all that. So I walk in and I say, well, first of all, where's your crucifix? Maybe I don't see any crosses on the walls. I don't see any Bibles on the table. I don't see, I don't see. I look at people's habits and they're sort of, what's up there? What's hanging on your wall? What's hanging? What are you professing? What are you sort of, worshiping? What is your belief system, kind of thing? And then, understand that the actual exorcism is a ritual. What you've seen on the movie The Exorcist, the power Christ compels you, the power of Christ, power of God. It's that same ritual. That's the one that I will use for a person. For a home, it's a little bit, a little bit different, but very similar to that. And it's basically just commanding, because Christ says to the apostles, as the Father sent me, I sent you. In other words, whatever God gave to Christ power-wise and authority and graces and power, he's given to his apostles, which in turn are really bishops who lay their hands as they bless people throughout the ages. I'm attached. I actually have an actual apostolic succession. I know exactly who I'm attached to. It's actually Peter and James, the apostles that I'm attached to, because by the laying of the hands through generations, I'm actually attached to that apostle. So Christ says, as I'm giving you this authority to be able to cast out demons and heal the sick and all that. So this is what he's given. So with that authority, I'm going into the home and I'm using the ritual that the Catholic Church has brought it together. It's the one you've seen on television, the Rite, The Exorcist, all those rituals that you see. That's the one that I would use. Again, I'm going in, I'm investigating the home, I'm investigating what's going on. The person needs to give me consent. I want to be saved. I want to be rescued. I want this to go away. I need to have that consent. And believe it or not, even a fully possessed person will still be given the grace by God to actually be able to say, help me. In other words, say, they may be fully controlled, but they'll still be able to say, help me, because it's the only way they can be helped. They have to be able to have that grace to say, help me.
Okay, but what about the mental state of the person? I mean, wouldn't that come first before even attempting?
Absolutely.
Okay, you're getting to that. Okay.
Well, like I'm saying, I mean, I'm going to investigate, and it's the mental state. I want to know where this person is at. And I want to know any history. I mean, it's that's part of what is expected of me as a bishop or as a priest, as an exorcist, is to go in and I would ask for consent. I would ask for medical records. I will ask for, what's going on in your life. They've given me consent. I've actually called their doctor up and they say, he's a schizophrenic, or he's not schizophrenic, or no, everything is fine now. Or, he's been to see me and we've tried medication and, nothing seems to work and he still seems to have problems. And, in that case, then I will proceed. I don't just go in and just do an exorcism because someone asked me to do one. I go in and make sure that there's actually history, maybe some involvement. I'll talk to family members. I'll talk to loved ones and all that, and kind of get a feel of what's going on. And usually, it's because they've dabbled in things. Yeah, sometimes I do come across someone who's got mental illness, who actually legitimately, is ill, mentally ill, and has, and needing some help. And in that case, I may just do a house blessing. It makes them feel better. I know that I'm not going to do an actual exorcism. I'll say, well, I'll bless your home, do a blessing over you. And you know what? Mentally, they're, again, I'm doing something, at least something good for them. They feel good about it. And, as I continue seeing your doctor and whatnot, and that sort of thing. But in actual, if I find that there's absolutely no medical history, no issues, this just came out of nowhere, because usually that's the case. Something profound has happened overnight. Someone who's mentally ill, this is an ongoing thing that might be going on for months or years. And then I come to realize that this person is, needing more treatment, or there's an issues, or a history. But people who are really possessed, this is like an overnight thing. This is something you've done and or allowed, and all of a sudden people are saying, this is like night and day. This is not my husband. This is not who he was last week. I mean, I watched, like, for example, here's a good example. Jodi, remember the Jodi Arias court case? I don't know if everybody watched it on TV. She killed her boyfriend, or whatever.
That's one, the one in Utah, right?
Yeah, Utah. Well, look at her after in court. And you look at her eyes. Everything is in the eyes, and you look at her in the eyes during the court case, and you can see that there's something there. And then they'll show pictures of her in earlier years, and it's not the same. The eyes are not the same. And then somewhere in the storyline, with this whole court case, she actually professed that she was doing demonic sort of rituals, and she was doing witchcraft, and she was doing this kind of thing. So again, something's changed. I'm not saying that's an excuse for what she did. She's obviously paying for it, but you can see a change in the person, and it's always in the eyes. And you just look at these people on television, these criminals, and you see these people as serial killers. It's in the eyes, and you'll see this, and it's and I don't know if it's mental health. I don't know if this, it's a really fine line between mental health and really possession, but it's you want to help the person. And if it's mental health, you do everything you possibly can to see if they can get the help they need. But, in some cases, very rarely, you will see it, and if it allows you to actually reveal itself, and it's very hard because they don't want to be revealed. They don't want to be exorcised. Think about it. A person who is fully possessed, that demon doesn't want to be released. It doesn't want to be released. And, it's going to hide. It's going to put a facade. It's very good at lying. And so, I've had it, I've had people talk to a certain person, and this person looks normal, and as soon as everybody turned their back, the thing is looking at me and is smirking, and you can tell that there's something else in there, and it's just hiding. But it's all in the eyes. It's a lot of investigating. It's not something you do in like 5 minutes. It's just something you're going to be investigating for weeks. You go in people's homes, you interview people, you get their history, you get mental health, all that stuff happens. The ritual itself is an hour long. An hour and a half long, it's done. You may have to repeat it. I repeat it maybe 3 times in most cases. I may have to go through the entire ritual 3 times in a row. It's very exhausting, very, very time-consuming. But the ritual itself is not anything dramatic or long. You just hit this person with the prayers and holy water, and you just go on it. It's like the movie, except in the movie, it's fighting back, it's cursing at you, it's doing the same thing, but in real life, it's being defeated, because that's, in real life, God wins every time. Not Hollywood's different. Satan comes back in a sequel, but in real life, it's gone. But there's a lot of prep work to get to that point. It's again, and then it doesn't stop there. People don't think, the ritual's done, bibbidi bobbidi boo, you wave your wand, you water, holy water and your oil, and you leave, and everything's glorious. No, that's when the battle really continues. This person now needs to change his life, her life, get the crucifixes back on the wall, put the Bible back on the table. You really got to get out there and get the church, start changing your life, stop doing what you were doing before, change your ways. That's the true battle. That's where the true teaching is, the true lesson is I go in and do the actual ritual and cleanse the entire home, and and pretty much I just sack the whole home with oil and water and salt. This person needs to I leave, now the person needs to take this forward. And that's where the true challenge is for these people. They need to change their way. They're the ones who ask for help. They got to change their morality, their way of life, or whatever their character is. That and stay away from it. Stop dabbling in what you're doing. If you don't, the Bible's quite clear that be careful, because you cast it out. If you return, the demon will return, or the entity will return, or the evil will return, and bring 7 worse evils with it. it's quite clear. And I've actually seen one case where the woman decided she wanted the demon back. She was fully possessed. She wanted the demon back. That was her choice. She said she felt empty without it. She actually wanted it. It was all like the, I don't know, Stockholm syndrome, I guess. This thing has been possessing her for years. Finally been liberated. She felt absent without it. Asked for it back. It came back worse than ever. I couldn't help her, because she was worse. She was in a worse state. Sometimes, I won't even do anything because unless you're prepared to make the steps to actually change your way of living, then I will intervene and help you. But if you're not going to change your ways, then I'm only going to do you more harm. Because if I cast whatever it is out of this home, and you start getting back into your old habits, I'm going to bring 7 worse entities in you. I'm going to leave you in a worse state than you already are. And this is where people don't understand that. That's why this is a very serious game we play here. This is a very serious thing. This is not like Hollywood's romanticized this and thinking, oh, this is great, and the power of Christ compels you and all this stuff. But it's serious stuff. This is people's lives. People have committed suicide. People have done things. This is people's lives are in ruins, and they need help or they take their own life. This is where the evil is. And people think demons don't exist, but when you just turn on your television, guys, 10 minutes of television, look at ISIS. You can't tell me evil doesn't exist. It's out there. It's there. And it's obviously you watch 10 minutes of news, 9 minutes and 52 seconds is all bad. So it's there. It's there whether you want to believe it or not. It's there, but it's very serious business, and people really need. That's what my emphasis is on this show. It's very serious. You want to go and you want to investigate. That's great. You want to go into seances. I don't recommend it. People do it. You want to entice people. You want to entice spirits to come out. You want to show themselves. You want to do all these things. You want to explore, open up doorways, open up other kind of different types of research. Really be prepared because you really, you just don't know what's going to come through that door. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm overwhelmed with the calls I get. Just during the break, I was just checking my Facebook emails. There were three calls there for people for prayer, for help. Just in our break, I got 3 calls of messages asking for some advice, for some help somewhere in the States.
So, how many exorcisms are we talking about that you've been a part of?
The real serious ones that you've seen on television, 5.
Okay,
I've actually done 5. But less serious nature, hundreds.
Less serious nature. What do those entail?
Cleansing of a home, maybe entity in the home that's been bothering people. Not a full-fledged possession, not actually being possessed, but actually the home is being infestated by something evil. Maybe someone played with the Ouija board, and it's brought something into the home. Now people can't sleep. People having nightmares. Things are moving around. People being scratched. Different severities of that nature. Those are the more minor ones. I've had to deal with many of those. Again, the people are not actually asking to be possessed. People have just invited this kind of stuff into their home. So now they've been given access, but only to a certain point. The full-fledged possessions are people who have actually done demonic rituals. People have actually gone and, I go to people's homes and they're saying, I'm possessed. And sure you are, because I'm looking at your library. I'm looking at your books on the shelves, and they're all like the Book of Satan and witchcraft and, like all this stuff, that you see. You're reading that stuff. You're into that sort of thing, or you're not wearing a cross, you're wearing a pendulum. There are a lot of people out there who practice witchcraft, Wicca, all kinds of things. There are people out there who practice this stuff. And that's their business, but this is the kind of thing that's letting this stuff come through.
So I have a question.
Okay,
Steve.
Go for it.
So the question I want to ask you is, why possession? What prompts? I know as far as an individual person doing rituals or whatever may invite them in, but what prompts a demon to possess a human? What's the end game?
Well, the end game is it's their agenda. They want to ruin mankind. They'll do it any way they can. Possession. They have full control of the individual. So that person has family, wives, spouses, children, workmates, So, I mean, possession it allows the demon to actually roam the earth in human form and just cause havoc. Their agenda is just to ruin God's creation, which is mankind. The whole reason why they turned on God was because God said, I created man and woman. They have a soul. The angels don't have a soul. And they said, you are going to serve, you and the angels are going to protect and serve mankind, my creation. And the devil said, no, I'm not going to do that. And because he says, look, you gave him a soul, but what about us? We've been serving you. And he got jealous. There was pride involved. And he took a third of the angels with him. They became demons. They're actually fallen angels. They have the same authority, same power as angels, but they have a different agenda. They just want to ruin what God creates. So if they can possess a woman who can cause 100 men to sin, why not? That's 100 more people, in his pocket. And this is, but again, it goes with a consent, and a lot of people allow that consent because they like the power. Satan offers them a lot of power. It's a false power. He'll backstab you, but it's a power. A lot of people love that power. They like that authority to be able to do spells and do kinds of things, and it's a power rush for them. And that's sort of the trade-off, I guess, for them. I mean, I get my own power, my own rush by serving God. I get my own authority and power from Him. But this is what people think that worshiping an evil gives them. I don't have to serve God. I can do my own thing and sort of live. I guess they have their own reasons. I don't know why. I've spoken to a few people who were devil worshippers, satanic worshippers who went Christian, and they talked. That's the sort of things they sort of talked about. They said, it was a power rush for them. It was, they wanted to do something, and have that kind of authority to cast spells and do a kind of thing. It was money. There's trade-offs, right? There's authority, power. There's knowledge. Really not sure why. To be honest with you, why a lot of people do that. I don't think. I think it's a foolish thing to do, but this is what people have done. But why full possession? Well, sure. Priests are attacked more than anybody else on the planet. We were told when we were ordained, be careful what, in our ritual ordination, we were told, it says, be careful what you're about to undertake, for once you cross over the line, you cannot return. And we are more attacked. We have more blessings. We have more authority. We have more ability to cast out demons, have mass, and consecrate the Eucharist, and all these things. But we're under attack more. Why? Because if you take out a priest, you're gonna be able to ruin a whole congregation. You're gonna be able to sway a whole church. You're gonna be able to sway. So yeah, being possessing a human being will have grave consequences for other people. Like I said, one woman being possessed can lustfully ruin 1,000 men if you wanted to, right? It's that kind of mentality. It's basically trying to ruin as many lives, as many people of God's creations that He can. That's their agenda. That's all their agenda is. It's just to make people's life in ruination. That's really all it is. They don't care.
We've got quite a bit of questions here.
I like his last question.
I sort of. You know what? Okay, well, Red, we're going with the last question first.
Yeah, we're going because I think the first one he asked was kind of answered in a sense.
Yes,
as well.
It was kind of earlier, I guess. Yeah. Okay, what is it, Alex? I know you're chomping at the bit.
Yeah, this is my turf. It's got to do with vampires, Plato. So what he asks is, does he believe, or do you believe rather, demons can use a human corpse as a host via necromantic rituals from black magicians?
Well, I can't prove that vampires don't exist. I can't prove they don't exist, so therefore I'm going to prove that they do exist. However, I do know demons will take not just human form. They've taken animal form. They've taken bugs. They've taken insects. They need to move from one entity to another, one object. If they're going to possess a living thing, they'll move from one to the other. I have seen demons move from. Demons are very individualized. They're not. This is not like just. They're not like not just a form. Like they have names, which I'm not going to go through the names because apparently you're not supposed to actually name demonic names, because when you name them, you're actually calling on them. When you name them by name, then you're saying appear, and you're giving them consent. So they're very individualized. They have very specific characteristics. They have different agendas, but they're very specific. They're very individualized. They have their own name, they have their own character, they have their own personality, their own agenda. I mean, I've cast out somebody, say, in Toronto, and someone in Florida will call me about a month later and say, oh, so-and-so, this is happening. I've gone to an investigation. This is happening. And I'll say, what is happening? And this person is presenting in a certain way. And I'm saying, you know what? I've seen that personality before. So I've cast it out, and it reappeared somewhere else. Someone else has brought it back, in a different part of the country or around the world. So, I get to start to see these certain characteristics of certain entities come out. I'll see it in one person, and then I might see it appear in California. When someone actually says to me, it's doing this, it's saying this, it's doing that, it's wanting to do this. I'm saying, those are very similar things that I saw before in Toronto, which I cast out. So then I know they're very individualized. And I do know they will go from a person to a beast to an animal, insects, whatever. Anything that moves, anything that's living, they can do that. So can they go into a corpse? Why not? I can't prove they cannot. So why not? I mean, I've even gone so far as saying maybe some of the UFOs that we've seen, how do I know they're not demonic? I don't know. How do I know they haven't taken that form? I mean, we're talking about a spiritual realm here. We're talking about the infinite universe here. We're not talking about just Earth, thinking about all the other planets out there. Who's to say these demons don't go to other planets, take on their form, some other living creature's form, they have the technology, they have the billions and billions of years of knowledge and technology. Why can't they make ships and fly over here and be themselves in a physical form? How do I know? I don't know. I can't prove not, but I'm not going to disclose the fact that that's not a possibility. So why not? Vampires, sure. I mean, the stories are out there. I mean, historically there are stories of vampires and sort of nocturnal sort of creatures, that they go out there, and there have been stories of visitations of in the middle of the night, and I mean, we sort of, I know it's been romanticized in Hollywood with Count Dracula and whatnot, but I would not disclose it. I mean, I can't prove it because I haven't actually seen one, but I won't disclose it. I believe that anything's possible, because historically, if it's been written, then someone in history has actually experienced it or seen it or is trying to write about it. So yeah, I would say sure.
Okay. Your thoughts, and you sort of already alluded to it, but we'll sort of get down to it as the main objective of this little bit. People love using Ouija boards.
Yeah.
And it's obviously not the only form of sort of contacting a realm or thoughts of the intention of contacting another realm or whatever it is. Your thoughts on that, and the after effects of maybe things that you've dealt with people who have used Ouija boards.
Well, I would go on the premise of a portal, right? I mean, the Ouija board is a portal. So it's like, for example, you got drywall, right? You put your drywall up, you punch a hole in the wall, right? Now you've got a hole. I can patch the hole up, right? But the hole is always there, right? So the Ouija board or tarot cards or, these magical pens, I forget what they call them. I've had one lady who had a pen, for example. She said, when I was younger, I got this pen or something kind of game, whatever, and I asked the spirits to kind of give me some knowledge, and I would just start writing with this pen. And, and whatever I write down, it would give me knowledge, it would give me the future and all this nonsense, whatever. And sorry, I call it nonsense, but anyway, nevertheless, so she's now older. She says, I'm having problems ever since I've done this pen thing. I've had nothing but problems. I've lost my job, my husband, and this and that. I said, where's the pen? So I don't know. It's been 30 years. I said, the pen's somewhere in the house. Look for it. She went through the entire home and actually found the pen. She could not believe the pen was there. I said, that's because the pen's a portal. You use the pen as the doorway. It's the key. So when you use the Ouija board or tarot cards or whatever instrument you're going to use to sort of get into a different realm, that becomes your key. That becomes the key and the portal. So, I'm not an advocate of those things. I don't want to. I know they exist. I know that they do more harm than good. Like I said, I always go by the outcomes, and I've never seen anything good come of those things. I mean, some people say, "Oh, I've done the Ouija boards and nothing's happened." Well, that's great. Good for you. I'm glad. I'm happy for you because you're lucky. But for others, maybe not so much. I've never seen anything good come from a Ouija board. Maybe a little bit of fun and games, one night, maybe the board moves, everybody gets scared, and it's great, But I've never seen anything scientifically or anything of any positive research come from a Ouija board or tarot cards or a pen or any of those things. So, but they become a portal. They need to be destroyed. They need to be burned to close the portal. And I tell you, I've tried to burn a couple of Ouija boards in my day, and I tell you, they're hard to burn. They don't want to burn. They are really hard to burn. They don't want to. They don't want that thing destroyed because it is a portal. But the thing is, once the portal is closed, the portal is always there. The door is closed. Where there was never a portal before, once you open one up, you can close it, but the hole is always there. It's like a drywall. Like I said, it's the analogy of the drywall. The drywall is one piece. I punch a hole through it, make a hole. I can patch it up. You can't even tell there was a hole there, but there's still a hole there. And so you don't want to reopen that hole. It's always a little bit weaker than the rest of the area. So, yeah, that's my sort of going on the Ouija boards. But it's a portal. It's a key. I don't find anything good comes from them, personally. I'm sorry to say that.
Alex, you need to burn your boards.
Yeah, if you can. Yeah. I've actually seen the boards. I've actually seen the boards jump out of a fire pit.
Well, okay. Now, I want to see that. Okay, Alex, bring the boards over. We'll put them in the fire. I want to see that. I definitely want to see that.
Well, one that's been used in a negative way. I mean, you just go to the store and buy one is one thing, but one that's been used in a way, and I've gone into a home and I've actually had to cleanse a home, and I'm saying, well, what have you done? Well, I've used the Ouija board. I'll give it to me. I'll take it outside the house, try to burn it. It was one of those things that just would not burn. It would just not burn. I would put gasoline on it; it would not burn. It was just very difficult to burn. But
so we have another question.
Yes.
It was an extension. It's still Redmond. It's an extension to the previous question he asked. He goes, "Do you believe that people can channel diabolical power for evil intent? The polar opposite of group prayer in Christianity."
Absolutely. People do it all the time. When you curse somebody. You get someone at work you don't like, someone at work gave you a hard time. When you curse somebody, what are you doing? Just exactly the same thing. You're cursing somebody. Oh, I wish them dead, or go to hell. Or, I hope he loses his job, or I hope he dies on the way home from work. Or what are we doing? We're channeling an evil thought. We're doing that. Sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. We just do it nonchalantly. We have ill health towards somebody. Someone at work, or a coworker has done something, or someone played a practical joke on us, or even an ex-wife or something, or ex-husband. We wish them harm, and so what are we doing? We're channeling. So I mean, we do that sort of nonchalantly, and we really shouldn't be doing that. And there's other people who actually go out of their way to actually do, and that's where I went back to the saying about these people who, why would they want to worship the devil? Why would they want to be possessed? Why would they want to give themselves over? It's for that authority and that power that Satan will give them. And for what purpose? Well, for that end, is to basically, to create that havoc in the world, to destroy someone, or to have ill health towards somebody else for whatever reason, whatever their agenda is. And everyone is different.
Plato, you want to get any information out there for the listeners who might want to get in contact with you or find you?
Well, I'm just I'm on the website. Just Google Plato Angelakis, and you're gonna find a bunch of things. But you can get me on Messenger, Facebook. Look up. I have my own religious order now. I'm actually have an actual church registered in Canada. It's the Holy Order of Saint Michael the Archangel. It's a Canadian corporation. It's basically my church, but it's nonprofit, obviously. But it's again, it's I look up that. Look me up on Facebook. Send me a message. That's what people are doing usually. They just send me messages, asking me for advice or whatever. I welcome it. I have no issues with it. I'm here to help people. That's what I'm here for. Yeah, to help people.
And we'll get all that information. We'll put it on our Facebook page and so on and get that out to people. I want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And perhaps maybe in the near future, you coming back close to the area, we could do some work together.
Absolutely, welcome. Well, I will be. I'm moving back to Burlington. Like I said, my home's up for sale, and I'm coming back down to the Burlington area, Hamilton, Burlington area. So I'll be close by.
Nice.
Certainly looking forward to working together.
Okay.
I'll bring my boards.
Yeah, he'll bring his.
Bring your boards. I'll bring the barbecue fluid.
The fluid. Yeah, the lighter fluid. All right, Plato. Thank you very much for coming on and talk to us tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Take care.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
So, overall, your thought. Again, we're sticklers when it comes to Ouija boards. I see nothing towards anything nefarious intent otherwise.
Yeah, well, it's like I've said in the past. I go, the Ouija board is a tool.
Yeah.
It's the intent behind the tool that counts. So if you're, and just like Bishop Plato said, even when you curse someone, you're intending ill will towards an individual.
Yeah.
It's no different when you use a Ouija board. If you have ill intent, that's what's going to come through. If your intent is just strictly to research, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. When you say that, okay, hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, but we're talking about ill will.
Yeah.
Then again, we're talking, from Bishop Plato's standpoint, it's obviously a religious one, and that is fine. But when we look down to it, realistically, these are energies, negative and good and positive energies, right?
That's right.
So yeah, we're generating a negative energy into the, cosmos, if you will,
into the ether.
Into the ether, and see, again, that's the problem I have. I have the problem of when somebody wants to put a sort of a religious title to it. When, let's be simple about it. I don't know. I just, again, intent. When somebody, you don't need the board to really, project this stuff. I mean, we've proven that time in and again.
Again, the board is just a tool.
It's just a tool.
Right? It's just like with rituals in general, whether they be Christian ritual or Wiccan rituals or Luciferian rituals or whatever ritual you want to call.
Yeah.
Rituals are not in and of themselves the reason why you accomplish a goal.
Yeah, exactly.
They are used to help the individual focus his will and intent.
Yes.
And that's what actually causes a supposed change or what have you. So it's irrelevant. I mean, if I were skilled enough and I were focused enough, I could just think of what I want done and have it accomplished. And I wouldn't need a ritual or a Ouija board to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same when somebody's sick. Sick with a terrible disease or something like that. For them to conjure up enough positive energy that positive energy will in fact cause a turnaround in their sickness.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. And Rembrandt brings up a good point too. Magic practitioners say the same.
Yeah.
Intent matters.
Yes.
Of course. Again, rituals are just tools used to help the individual focus their intent and their willpower to their goal, basically. And that's no different even with Christian prayer.
Yes.
The prayer itself, in and of itself, isn't what's going to cause whatever you want to happen.
No.
It's used for you to focus on what you want done.
Exactly. And I think that is what people have problems with understanding.
Yes. A lot of people have a problem understanding that.
Yes. And obviously, you have religions that will mainstream, if you will, that will like to call out the other, say, rituals and everything else, or intents as being evil. But those are the same. I know they're the same people, but realistically, it's the same. It's the same structure, but with a different, jacket.
Well, what I was going to say, these are the same people who are ignorant of their own faith as well, because when it comes to organized religion, especially when you're talking about Catholicism, because it has so many tiers.
Yes.
The bottom of the line, your average priest at a parish, only knows so much, and they don't move up to be a bishop or what have you unless they study more and more and more and more and more, or even a cardinal. You only know what you're supposed to know to be able to run your own parish.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So these are the same people who make these claims, and to some extent even the cardinals and the bishops as well make these claims, but do they really believe it? I mean, now we look at the Catholic Church saying that they don't even believe in hell, realistically speaking. It's more of a metaphor. I go, well, that's not what you've been espousing for the past 2,000 years. Mm-hmm. You've made it very clear to us that hell was a very real place.
Yeah.
And now you're going around and saying that it's just metaphorical? Well, what the hell are you talking about?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So these are the people that are trying to tell everybody else that ritual is the reason why you're opening up. No, it's not. It's the intent of the individual. Mm-hmm. I could use a pen and claim that this pen is a portal to the other side and use it in a ritual and accomplish something. Was it the pen's fault? No, it was me. Right?
Yeah. It's, it's all up to understanding it all, and that's the thing. A lot of people won't take the time to try to understand it fully. It's just, I don't know. It's when you look at how life is today, everything is so fast paced. People don't have time, don't really care anymore about that kind of stuff. You see it. Less and less. The numbers are dwindling when it comes to these certain faiths and the practices of those faiths. They're becoming lost.
Yeah, and part of that reason is because people are becoming more and more educated. And I don't mean that in any bad sense. What I'm saying is that when you're not educated, the church was what educated you, and you believed it wholeheartedly. You took it on, for lack of a better term, on faith that they were being truthful to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
However, now in the age of information that we're in, and the amount of information that we can digest, even though a lot of it's bullshit anyway, the point is that you are now able to do what you weren't able to do 100 years ago, and that is question.
Yeah.
Right? And when you start to question, then you start to doubt.
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So when you doubt your faith, and they cannot answer you satisfactorily, then you have a problem, and you just sort of lose your way, kind of deal, right?
Yeah, I agree. Well, we'd like to thank Bishop Plato for coming on this evening and talking about his work. We will put the information on our Facebook group on how to find him and all that stuff. Well, next week, next Sunday, we have another interesting show. Our Dark Discussions are returning. It was supposed to be our season finale.
That's right.
But we have Jake, excuse me, a little itch in my throat, scratch or whatever. I don't know. Maybe
You're being possessed.
I'm being possessed. Yeah. Jake Anderson is going to be joining us, returning the show. He was just on a few weeks ago talking about the Eliza Lamb story.
Yeah.
But
that's right.
We're really fascinated with, the amount of information that he had. We went into a tangent, and I figured, you know what? It'd be great to have him back on to sort of explore that tangent. And, I couldn't think of anyone else to bring on, for that, and that being Gareth Davies from the Mindset Podcast.
Yes.
He's been on a few times, so it'll be interesting.
For sure.
Are you willing to take the blue pill or the red pill?
Why can't I take both?
Well, we'll have to find out. And then our season finale will be June 11th now, with our guest all the way from Rome, Italy.
Yes. Cocaine capital of Italy.
Yeah, Leo Zagami's coming back on the show, and he will be talking about the Illuminati and the Vatican and more. He's got some interesting stuff. If you want to check out, he was on the show. Just go to Blog Talk Radio when we were on BTR there. Yes, the Pope. You can catch the show that we did with him. I think it's in the BTR archives. Just go Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Google search Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Leo Zagami, which is, what is it? Z-A-G-A-M-I.
M-I, yeah.
Yes. Leo Zagami. And you'll find that. So, he'll be on for the season finale this year, season 9. And one more little tidbit. Long-time listener Terry asked about us possibly doing a live stream show with our good friend Frankie.
That's right.
Who knows? You never know. You might see our ugly mugs with Frankie.
Weirder things have happened.
Yes. You never know. Maybe a bonus show in the summer. Who knows? Anyways, that is all. Until next Sunday when we have our dark discussions. So don't forget to tune in. Until then, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Redmond, thank you for your questions this evening. Always great to have you out and supporting the show. And everyone else. Until next Sunday, take care, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.
We'll be right back next Sunday night. Good night.
Good night.